are now going to move on to our next session, which is the last session before lunch. So it's a very exciting session. To set the stage for this, I'm delighted to invite Mr. Kiran Gopinath, founder of Open Finance Connect and lead author of Global Open Finance Adoption Report. Kiran will introduce the report highlighting adoption trends, opportunities for innovation and scalability. Let's give Mr. Kiran a very warm welcome.
When I decided to speak here, I thought I'd wish everybody a good morning. It's good afternoon. And I'm very happy that all of you have had a very hearty breakfast. And I hope you can all hold on for a while. It is an absolute honor to stand before you today at Samvad. It's a gathering of visionaries and innovators driving the future of open finance. This stage represents not just an exchange of ideas. They're not able to hear you. Thanks. But the spark for transformative change. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce the Global Open Finance Adoption Report, 2024 to 2030. It is a culmination of months of effort, collaboration, and insights from some of the brightest minds in the industry. Open finance, as we know, is reshaping the way individuals and businesses interact with financial systems. It is not just a policy or a framework. It is a movement to empower millions and soon billions by democratizing access to financial data and opportunities. The report we're launching today is an attempt to chart this remarkable journey and answer some of the most pressing questions. Where are we today? What is driving growth? And can we cross 1 billion users by 2030? This report covers 3 key themes. The first is adoption trends across 48 countries. From the 90 million users of India's account aggregator to the innovative strides in regions like the US, Brazil, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, Africa, and the other countries in Latin America. The second are the opportunities for innovation, from lending and PFM and wealth management to non-financial use cases as we move towards open data. The report highlights where the biggest opportunities lie for entrepreneurs, investors, and institutions. The third is scale. The central question of the report is, can we cross 1 billion users by 2030? This report would not have been possible without the invaluable contributors of our partners and supporters. I would like to thank CRED for the support and contribution to the report. A heartfelt acknowledgement goes to Pawan Bakshi of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for his personal contributions. A sincere gratitude goes to Senfree, whose expertise in Africa has added critical dimensions to the report's global perspective. My deep appreciation goes to CDPI for reviewing the report and help it shape better. I'd also like to thank Dr. Pramod Varma, who has kindly agreed to write the foreword for the report. I'm very grateful to Sahamati and the team at Sahamati for the support when working on this report. I'd like to thank Arun Prabhu and the team at ValueWorks for their effort in analyzing the data and bringing it to life. I'd like to acknowledge Rutvik Paikine, who's my co-author and who has contributed significantly to this report. Thank you, Rutvik. Before I close, I want to reflect what open finance truly represents. It is not about technology or data. It is about empowering people, individuals and businesses alike, to access opportunities they never thought possible. Together, we're building a future where no one is left behind. Thank you. I'd like to invite Kavita to introduce our next speaker, who will also release the report.
We are honored today to have with us a true visionary in India's digital revolution, Dr. Pramod Varma, the former chief architect of Aadhaar, the visionary behind India Stack, and a leader in digital health and education. Dr. Pramod has played a key role in building transformative systems like UPI, eSign, CoWIN, and has co-created the Beacon protocol, powering projects like ONDC and Namayatri. His work has not only revolutionized India's digital infrastructure, but also empowered millions by creating systems that prioritize inclusion and accessibility. Dr. Pramod Varma, welcome.
Yes. So may I request Rutvik to do the...
Is it on? Yeah, fantastic to be here. Okay. Very bad idea, right? Speaking before lunch and after Nandan. Really bad setup. Okay, so that's a QR code, by the way, for the report he was talking about. So you might want to just scan. And I'm going to leave it there. I don't think we want the next few slides.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay, fine. I really want to keep it short. So while you take that thing, I want to talk about a few things and then leave you for lunch. I think Nandan covered it and set the base really well. That why are we even doing what we are doing? I think if you don't have that larger picture of the next couple of decades of India's economic growth and setting ourselves as data as an economic asset, if you don't see data as an economic asset for individuals and SMEs, we will never get through this cycle of short-term moats or silos that we end up creating. And this is actually this is why account aggregator must go beyond finance eventually. I know it's hard, but I can say whatever I want. So I'm just saying, I don't belong to any of the regulatory part of it. But it's really key for us to not look at silos of, oh, this is an RBI thing, or is a SEBI thing, or is an IRD. I'm really glad this is at an FSDC level. So at least account aggregators seem to be in reasonable shape that we are able to get. And we were all pleasantly surprised by the regulatory forward-looking approach to also bring GST data and hopefully PF, EPFO data as well one of these days. And Nandan mentioned all that thing. That actually really sets up ourselves for why the DPI thinking creates formalization. And the formalization of the next 400, 300, 400, 500 million people. And if you don't get to that 500 million, the population state, which UPI we got it. We almost there at 500 million, but we are not there at, we are at what, 90 million with account aggregator. So this is what the expectation is that the report clearly shows, using the ecosystem and the use cases we have, lending being one of them, definitely we are able to get 5x. There's no question about that we will get to 500 million people participating in the account aggregator ecosystem. And that growth cannot come. It will not come, simply won't come by each of you doing one thing. That is why an DPI thinking is very key to create infrastructure enablement and policy and regulatory enablement so that you can do what you are supposed to do, right? Give credit, give better PFM apps, better insurance, sachetized product as Nandan was talking about. But none of these are individually possible. So there is one element of pushing the DPI thinking to create accelerated growth of account aggregator to 5x. So this is one big goal. How do you get that and also get 13 lakhs or 1.3 million rupee sort of size to come lower? And when do we get to 300,000 or 1 lakh, 100,000 rupee loans? And it will be a good question to ask. And it will be a journey. I don't think we'll get to it overnight. But I think it is important that we actually start constructing that mental view, that where we are going with. So that's one part of why we are looking at DPI. And the second thing Nandan alluded to, and it's very important, the same disconnected to a lot of you. For some of the regulators, we see this disconnect in their mind. For example, what does DigiLocker have to do with account aggregator? It's not obvious I think, to many people. But for us, a lot of us who are thinking larger data as an economic asset, DigiLocker is an integral part of credentializing or credentialing of who you are, what you do, and your membership status, like you work in a company. How do I know you work in a company? Your proof of work, proof of earning, salary slip. Indians live and die by salary slips. We have not managed to convert salary slips into a verifiable credential yet. It is something which we are pushing the DigiLocker team to really bring it in. You know, we shamelessly go after everybody who is ready to listen to us, right? So we are talking to, you know, say, Labor Ministry, it doesn't matter. Someone, please wake up and start converting our, certificates into verifiable credential. And the effort of doing that is so so little, that it surprises people that all it takes is a signed QR code to be on salary slip. Instantly, that becomes verifiable. And verifiability allows reduction of cost in the workflow. And suddenly wallets, DigiLocker we were 10 years ahead of everybody else, but we do have a wallet. But we have other commercial wallets coming in, whether it's Apple Wallet, whether it's Google's wallet, Samsung. Device guys are now embedding wallet capabilities natively in a secure fashion into smartphone. So if you look at the trend, people are going to have smartphone, either shared phone or an individual phone, and your ability to harness your data and assets in a verifiable manner. Verifiability is the key, and that's what DigiLocker was trying to do. For individuals and SME, regulatory barriers or ministerial barriers are irrelevant. And this is very important that we keep thinking about it. Barriers are created by systems, because we wanted to manage and govern one part of financial or health or education or work or labor. So we create these silos. For individuals and families, it's only one thing: their economic growth, their ability to protect against any downside, their ability to protect their families and continue to grow, right? So it's important. That's Nandan's statement he made against one of the questions you asked. How do we get ministries to talk to each other? And his point is that I won't spend time getting the ministry to talk. I would rather create a grid into which individual ministries can simply plug it in, so that you don't actually have to talk. You do one thing as a ministry, and the other ministry will do, Labor Ministry will do one thing: converting proof of work and proof of earning into verifiable manner. If each of them do one thing well, and Agriculture Ministry credentialing farmers today under AgriStack, you saw that announcement in the budgets and so on. Now we are credentialing them, credentialing their crops, credentialing their access to land, and each of these effort, but connected into a unified grid, allows individuals now suddenly to harness, or SMEs to harness, and actually get, whether it's credit or better product, financial product and so on, which you guys are building. So remember, this picture about unification is not by putting everybody in one room and agreeing. No one agrees on anything, okay, in one room. So it's very, very key. Agreement comes through a shared architecture into which each of them can do their autonomous effort at appropriate time. Not all ministries will do the same thing at the same time. They will do a different time, but it's okay as long as they plug it into the same grid, as Nandan used that word. So it's very, very key to remember. And the second part of that I want to talk about very quickly is that what unlocks value? What unlocked Aadhaar's value? What unlocked DigiLocker value? When did we see DigiLocker started getting used really? What unlocked UPI value? If you look back, our own history, you will see it is never actually about one thing. One, obviously the use case. Most compelling use case, trying to crack the use case by ecosystem. So the private innovators like you will have to construct one use case, but a lot of us look for that one or two use case, but a use case at scale. It is, I would rather have 2 use cases that work for 500 million people than 100 use cases that work for 20 million people each. Because I think that what happens is when the entire country sees the value, that creates that cycle, the virtuous cycle of growth, the virtuous cycle of saying, oh, now that I've seen, which is what we saw with internet or Web3, whether right, bad, good, it doesn't matter, or smartphone. Every time we launched a universal infrastructure for playground for innovation, we saw enormous innovation from people like you. But that happens when you create a playground. Playground recognition comes when you have an at-scale use case, which is why lending is a very, very good at use case. There might be a few others. You guys are experts. You guys have to figure out what are those 1 or 2 at-scale use case, get that cracking really well, reliably, and that creates the cycle. There's no going back with UPI, right? It doesn't matter whether politicians change, political leadership change. It doesn't matter. UPI, because nobody goes against people. So it's really important to unlock value for people and SMEs. They are the vote bank. Nobody's idiots. Yeah, these guys are all smart people. They will realize that, whoa, people are really benefiting. When people are benefiting, who wants to undo stuff in the country? Our job is to really get some of those use cases. That's the second part. Look for use cases at scale. And for the use cases at scale, while your short-term temptation, whether you're a large bank, large capital market, or large incumbent, your temptation of protection and siloing will come. I mean, it's very tough to, I mean, if I were running a private company, I would protect my turf as well. There's no question about it. But I think what is going to play out really well is the collective playground making. Think about what IPL did to India. We could have had hundreds of clubs, private clubs trying to do individual games. But IPL created a shared playground, shared brand, shared methods to do. And that brought enormous value to each team. And every player, whether you are from the farthest village, a young boy or a young girl is able to now play into a mega playground, right? That playground making necessitates coordination. And that's a little hard. Coordination and agreeing on each other is very hard. So I know that my Asian team is constantly, battling Sahamati, trying to create that facilitating playground, right? Sahamati as a facilitator is trying to create common pricing, common SLAs, common agreement, saying that, guys, this is real, not about you. It's about 20 years forward-looking India's ability to grow enormously. When that happens, all of us benefit. Every private company, every bank will benefit from that growth. So do look at that coordinated playground making with a long-term lens and not short-term lens. That's the third point I want to talk about. And the fourth point, I think Kunal brought that up. It's not a joke. I think consumer protection, fraud is equally skyrocketing, while the UPI fraud, by the way, is 1/5 of card networks. Okay, so it's really low. But nevertheless, it is at 500 million transactions a day, even a small percentage means somebody is getting screwed in the deal. And as Sharath was saying, that for that micro, that person who lost the money, it's horrible feeling. It doesn't matter what you feel. At macro, we might still say, yeah, it's not a big impact. So it is very key. Now, how do you deal with negative externality, right? It's never possible with one player. You will never be able to solve fraud detection, however smartest engineers and algorithms, AI you put it in. You will not be able to solve it unless it is coordinated. You are not coordinated. Regulators are not coordinated. Ministries are not coordinated. Scammers are coordinated. Scammers are one of the most well-coordinated people. So they're scamming across physical barriers. They're going to banks and writing fake checks, which nobody comes to know. Because signals are bifurcated and siloed. And then we are asking questions like, why should I share the data? What data should I share? I think there is a AP HOTA committee right now. I think RBI has set up. RBI has been quite, pushing that agenda. And they have set up a committee to actually discuss this, saying, how do you at the network level deal with this? What are the network signal? How do you create privacy preserving or confidentiality preserving mechanism? Can you send the data with completely, tokenized identities and tokenized, objects, so that confidentiality and privacy is not violated, but you can detect the pattern. And once you detect a pattern, you can open the envelope. Go back and say, oh, for whom this happened? The network need not see the confidentiality or confidential or private data. So you are able to do this technique only if, again, your coordinated effort that is there. So my real request, again, to the large ecosystem would be, when you think about negative aspects of creating, scammer calls, we have been debating, and all of us have been thinking about what can we do in this country. And I had a call with the entire biggest two telcos, I don't need to name them, obvious ones, and the GSMA team, trying to see what else can we do? How can we upgrade the telecom itself as a more powerful DPI and open up APIs to all of you so that we are not working around by sending some SMS, verifying hopefully, and so we can have APIs to verify. Why can't I have telecom APIs to verify? It's there. They are not yet thinking about it. So I think a lot of us who are looking at neutral, outside, will start pushing these boundaries of creating APIs for you to be able to deal with negative elements in the system, and whether it's a scam call, whatever you are trying to do. But signaling, a shared signal framework is necessary for consumer protection. Kunal talked about awareness, which is a literacy problem, which is definitely necessary because we are so gullible that culturally we say everything to everyone, I think. I'm not even sure what's going on. We just share whatever we want. So I think it's very hard in Indian psyche. I think it gets easier for cheating people, I think. Also, greed and gullibility is not a good combination. So it will easily fall into, multiply money 5x in next 2 days kind of a scam. Or FedEx likes fear scam. You play into greed or play into fear, right? That's what they're all doing in a very coordinated manner. So, but these are not jokes. And we are also looking at the third part of consumer protection is a liability. We are talking about assets in account aggregator, even data as an asset. But consumers will never expose their liability. So the negative aspect of how do we deal with liabilities? But again, we'll have to deal with DPDP has come. Privacy bill has come, privacy, we have a law, and we have to deal with aspect of, you can't put every part of your data into a central registry. Really bad idea. So how do you create enough tokenized signals for us to be able to create a shared liability infrastructure? That means I can now make sure against your PAN number or Aadhaar number, I know how much is your liability into the system. And if you don't know, I'll end up giving more money than I should. And it's pretty obvious that we will do. And I know that earlier efforts of PCR or other efforts of RBI has happened, it's continue to happen, but please do think about this. Liability and consumer protection are not an individual game. And it is not even an account aggregator game. Actually, it's very, very hard. It is actually a lower level infrastructure that we will create, but we need to create a privacy protecting infrastructure, confidentiality protecting. SMEs, they can't just put out all their data out there. A lot of questions to be answered, okay? So think about that as well. And the last point, again, I'll leave you for lunch, is the Finternet topic. And this is, if you have not read that paper, you really should. No one here should be going back without reading that two papers, vision paper and the architecture paper. It's a global effort. And why is it key? Is that what we are talking about is fundamentally an API-based integration story. API-based means system-centric. That means my bank has to share my data with my lender. And of course, account aggregator facilitates the APIs and so on. The problem with this is that this itself is a walled garden. Now, I'm making slightly controversial for this topic, but I'm making that so that you guys can think about it. You are creating another walled garden. Nevertheless, larger garden. Okay, thank you for doing that. Because it's not one platform, everyone, GST, everybody is there, fantastic. Beautiful work where we are from 2016, original imagination of data democracy and democratizing access to data to where we are, $1 billion a month lending against AIs is awesome. But where does it go? And that's what Finternet is giving you a glimpse of where the future is going. Future, we are going, what Nandan made a very, very powerful statement that we are going back to the future. That back to the future means eventually, users will have the ability to harness credentialed and tokenized data. Credentialed is verifiability, and tokenization is ledgering on top of it. So there's two words, okay? Bring verifiability, but bring also a ledger. That means I can't double dip on the same invoice, for example. I can make sure it's locked and you're not doing double dipping. So it's fundamentally two concepts. Why is it important? Is that I do not see, frankly, how UPI in Singapore works, by the way. People who have gone to recently Singapore, it works. It took 5 years to integrate. to simplest APIs. Their API is simple. Our API, we wrote it. We know it's simple. UPI API, okay? It's like a page and a half. I can't get harder than that. So don't blame it on the engineers. But it takes extreme, complex, bilateral negotiations, agreement, liability, accountability, SLAs, consumer protection from there to here, all the discussion. How do we do this for 190 countries, 8 billion people, 300 million businesses in the world? Now, it may not be your worry, but you will worry because your customers, many of your SMEs, have no borders. And with India growing economically, our borderless transactions will cross. When the borderless transaction, your current account aggregator will be limiting. Because you are not even opening APIs to our own entities here. Because they are not coming under the regulated framework, which is okay. It's not so bad to start with. We have a long way to go even with our own current framework. But how do you see 2030, 35 playing out? And that is by flipping that again, as Nandan said, and giving tokenized data and credential data back to individual's wallet. So if you do that, it allows not only domestic regulated workflows like lending, but also cross-border workflows for visa applications or anything else. Or your child may be going for a school admission abroad, and they will have to give a bank statement. There is no freaking way that college abroad is going to have an API access to your system. Because we will debate until the cows come home. And we will say, who is this guy, which college, which country, who is discussing on. We can't even give API because we fear giving APIs. Because the balance of protection, we have responsibility to protect, but also innovation. But so in that balance, the only way to open up, you know what is the biggest data sharing framework in the world today? Which is the one? WhatsApp. We freely share bank statements, passports, PAN cards, right? Every one of you. Because we have to move on with our life. We have to do stuff. So I think we have to ask the question, how do we, either people will do whatever random stuff through WhatsApp or photocopy or just take the whole copy and whatever you want to do. We should create a secure, safer, but user-centric mechanism. And that's what Internet Vision was all about. Okay, go read up. All right, thank you so much. Enjoy your lunch and have a great day. Yeah.
Dr. Pramod, we are not going to let you go so easily. We are going to be giving away a few awards which we want you to give. Yeah, they have worked really hard for it. So, Mahesh, do you want to come up? Or? Okay. We are thrilled to announce the Sahamati Buildathon Champion Team for Team 1, TrustSphere, a pioneering digital financial companion designed specifically for India's elderly population. This innovative solution leverages AI to simplify financial management and safeguard against fraud and provides seamless access to deposits and benefits, all through a senior-friendly app. Let's warmly welcome the TrustSphere team. I think a little louder, they worked really hard, and it's a senior-friendly app. We need this in the country. Okay, now I'm excited to present Team 2 winner, Nominee Ninja, developed by Icebreakers, a game-changing solution that ensures your family's financial future is secure with just a click. It enables a one-click nominee setup and smart form filling across all. Oh, they're not here? They're not here, okay. We'll just give them a round of applause anyway. Okay. Okay, Team 3, winner of the Sahamati Buildathon, the multilingual Gen AI voice bot-based AI consent solution. Are they here? Yes. Okay. This AI-powered voice bot interacts with users in multiple languages, efficiently gathering consent and addressing and clarifying questions, making it an essential and accessible financial system. Thank you, Dr. Pramod. Thank you. You thought you were coming before lunch, but if you saw the number of people nodding their heads to everything you said, you would know you had a captive audience, and we really sincerely thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.